20 years ago, I looked around at my life and asked myself a question that I couldn't answer. How did I get here? I had relationships, a lot of them, and almost all of them felt challenged, draining, like they required me to give up pieces of myself just to maintain them. I was a wife, a mother, a friend, a colleague, a sister, a daughter, etc. I was showing up for everyone. And somewhere in the middle of all of that showing up, I had disappeared. There was no room left for me to even exist in my own life. I didn't know it at the time, but I was living inside a pattern that had a name, a pattern that keeps millions of people stuck in disempowered relationships with others and with themselves without even knowing why. It's called the Triangle of Disempowerment. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The drama triangle, the triangle of disempowerment, was first described by psychiatrist Stephen Cartman in the 1960s. It identifies 3 roles that people consciously play in dysfunctional relationship dynamics: the victim, the perpetrator, and the rescuer. And here's the most important thing to understand before we go further. Most of us cycle through all of these positions, sometimes in the same relationship, sometimes in the same conversation. The triangle is not about fixed identities. It's about patterns of relating that keep everyone inside it stuck and disempowered. The victim position is characterized by the feeling of powerlessness. Things happen to me. I have no agency. I am at the mercy of circumstances, of other people, of life itself. Last week, I talked about tolerating, and tolerating is often the entry point into the victim position. When we tell ourselves we just have to endure something, wait it out, survive it, we have placed ourselves in the victim role. The victim is not weak. The victim is often someone who has been genuinely hurt, genuinely wronged, genuinely overwhelmed. But the victim position keeps you focused on what is being done to you rather than what you have the power to actually do. Here's some questions to sit with if you really want to look at, am I in the victim role? Where in your life are you currently feeling like things are happening to you rather than being shaped by you? Where are you waiting for someone else to change before your situation can improve? Where are you telling yourself you have no choice? You must endure. It's just for a little while. Let's talk about the perpetrator. The perpetrator position is characterized by blame, criticism, control, and judgment. The perpetrator makes others wrong in order to feel right, uses power over rather than power with. The perpetrator is not always aggressive or obvious. Sometimes the perpetrator is the person who withholds, who uses silence as a weapon, who criticizes under the guise of helplessness, who controls through guilt. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Most of us have been in the perpetrator position, often without realizing it, often while telling ourselves we were justified. Here's some questions to sit with if you want to really look at if you're defaulting to working in the perpetrator role or relating in the perpetrator role. Where in your relationships are you using blame or criticism to avoid taking responsibility for your own experiences? Where are you trying to control someone else's behavior rather than managing your own response? Where are you making someone else wrong so that you can feel right? These are the perpetrator. Let's talk about the rescuer. This is the position I know best, and it is the most seductive of the three because it looks like love. I had been taught that to be a good wife, a good mother, a good friend, it was my job to help everyone, to fix, to solve, to smooth over, to anticipate the needs of, and meet them before they were even expressed. I thought this was virtue. I thought this was what love looked like. What I didn't understand was that rescuing, in the triangle sense, is not actually about the other person. It's about managing your own discomfort. When someone you love is struggling, fixing their problems feels better than sitting with your own helplessness. Rescuing gives you a sense of control, of purpose, of being needed. And it keeps the other person you're rescuing from developing their own power. Because if you always solve it, they never have to. The rescuer also cycles into victim, exhausted, resentful, asking why no one ever shows up for me. The way I show up for everyone else. And the triangle spins. Oh, I know that one. If you think that you might be sliding into the rescuer, here are some questions for you to sit with. Where in your relationships are you helping in ways that haven't actually been asked for? Where are you fixing someone else's problems to manage your own discomfort? Where are you giving so much of yourself that there's no room left for you to exist? The way out of the triangle is not to become cold, withholding, or disconnected. It's to move into what some call the empowerment triangle, where the victim becomes the creator, the perpetrator becomes the challenger, and the rescuer becomes the coach. You stop fixing and start asking, What do you need? And how can I support you in finding it in yourself? You stop blaming and start taking responsibility for your own experience. You stop enduring and start making conscious choices about what you are and are not willing to receive. For me, this required questioning everything I had been taught about what it meant to be good, to be loving, to be a woman in a relationship with others. It was not comfortable work, but it gave me back something I hadn't realized I had lost: myself. Okay, there's a lot in this. Please feel free to listen to it again, take notes. For now, I'm going to close out with some questions for you to consider. Which position in the triangle do you most frequently occupy? Victim, perpetrator, or rescuer? What does that position cost you? And what does it cost the people you are in relationship with? What would one small step toward the empowerment triangle look like for you this week, today? What would it look like? Okay, I will leave it there for today. I hope this video finds you well and seeking out your own empowered life. And I'll leave it there. A biento.